play for England, full level. His experience of playing in big European games. I don't think he quite played in the I don't think he quite played the Champions League.
I think for PSV.
PSV playing the Champions League or League. We've definitely played the UEFA Cup against us, and then obviously you've got his general footballing experience. So Chelsea have offered the guy to Arsenal. Berta's thinking, you know what? Yeah, this is a guy where Saka has been injured, right hand side. He could play the left as well because we've seen it. That's an open goal signing, isn't it? Mendy fell into his hands. Gyökeres, again.
Oh, come on, he pivoted for Gyökeres, man.
No, I think, don't get me wrong. And I'm not putting it down. But we all know that the manager's primary target was Benjamin Šeško. And that's nothing. That's not digging at Gyökeres or digging at Berta. It's just what happened. It's reality what happened. So he's looked at it. He said, right, Arsenal fans want a striker. That, Arsenal fans like yourself said, right, the reason why we didn't win the league in 2023-24, even though we scored more goals than
one key reason we never had a striker,
is that despite the fact we scored 98 goals, we didn't have Erling Haaland. And
when it mattered and we needed goals, we didn't have any goals.
We win the league. 24-25, the situation hasn't changed. He's thinking, right, this guy has got a high ceiling, but this guy has scored 100 something goals in 2 or 3 years. Get him in. And that's it. The Eze one was opportunism.
Oh, come on, man. I'm not
saying,
he wanted to join us, but come on, man. This is
what I mean by opportunism is that...
You've been here since March, Kenny. This is a madness.
Yeah. The reason why I say it's opportunism and good opportunism is because one thing we had in our favour, the guy was waiting for Arsenal.
He was dying for us, yeah.
He was waiting for Arsenal. Yeah, Spurs had the keys, in terms of like where, first team football, the contract, kind of agreement. But you think about it, we now know that Parish has got a good relationship with Lewis, isn't it? And then that's where Berta comes in. But he's done a fantastic job. Really, really good job. You have to impress as well with the fact that he paid off Tomiyasu. And then as much as some of us are Thomas Partey fans, footballing wise, right? Because you have to emphasize football. You have to emphasize that now. The fact is, he said, well, no, you're in your 30s. Why are we giving you 200 grand when we can go for a younger player? He said no. Just like he said no to him when he wanted the pay rise at Madrid. So it's one of those things where he has made the tough decisions. He's now got to do the other side where he's going to have to tell the manager, look, you're one of your first team is going to have to go.
Which is going to be the case, man, because obviously, like, going back to what we said about depth, in the ideal world, the only conversations I want to have about depth is what we were saying initially, right? In that nobody's safe. Everyone's got to fight for their place. Who's going to be on the bench? Can you pivot?
Ideally, but you've got to remember.
No, but then the other side of it, Kenny, is like I was saying, is that the reason there's depth is, unfortunately, there is going to be injuries. And again, kind of what you said, you look at Ben White, you look at Timber, you look at Magalhaes, Havertz, who's injured now, Saka, and maybe to a degree Odegaard. These men are coming back from big injuries. So is it any surprise Kai's got injured? And it wasn't anything to do with the United game. The manager said it was a load thing. Saka, it doesn't surprise me with another hamstring knot. So we've got to be able to absorb this. How good are we when we have hardly anyone available? Which is why I'm happy with the amount of numbers.
Yeah, we're happy.
Everyone's
happy, but you've got to remember one thing, right? Managers, whether we like it or not, even though whether they got a big squad or a small squad, they still have their preferred personnel.
100 million%.
It will take like a.
Don't buy all this tier 1 stuff and all that crap.
For instance, we may have all this depth, but Mikel's preferred personnel could still be Odegaard in the middle. It could be Odegaard in the middle. It could be on the left-hand side. He may look elsewhere. I'm talking about the reason why I'm targeting Odegaard is because his form last year was below its best.
You got Wanyeri and Eze in the mix now.
Argue that the player that we just signed, Eze, although we've seen him his starting position at Crystal Palace on the left-hand side, that's not where he stayed. Although Arsenal fans want him on the left-hand side because they said, right, even if he's the left-hand side, he's still going to be able to be creative from a sort of like inside left.
Yeah, position. Man, they could do that. I'll take a switch up the tactics, man.
Yeah, but my argument is they're forgetting that they know Mikel Arteta. We've seen Arsenal without the ball. Now, don't get me wrong. They're saying, oh, yeah, at Crystal Palace, yeah, they're always on the back foot against better teams. I get that. But when you watch Crystal Palace, especially those big teams against the big teams, he was always the guy who had that, who could do something out of nothing to win those games, where Crystal Palace, on their day, they could win the games. Now, at Arsenal, if he plays down the left-hand side, he's going to have to be part of that low block where coming down the left-hand side, we can't have overloads. Now, I'm not too funny. Do you want Eze to play to do that kind of thing? Obviously, he's a total footballer. He'll do it.
You're going to have to do some of that, but no, you want not just him. You want all of our attackers in further forward positions.
Could you buy Eze for that?
Of course,
I don't think you did.
He's going to have to do a bit of it, but no, we're not buying him for that.
I still think that,
that's why I think Martinelli starts against Liverpool.
I'm not disrespecting Odegaard at all. What I'm trying to say is that whether we like it or not, the manager's got a decision to make when it comes to buying his player, because you can't say, oh, he can stay on the bench because he's match fit. Well, no, he is match fit. He played in the Community Shield.
Had a good pre-season.
The first game at Chelsea. And so he is fit. So he can go straight in the team. That's why I say the manager's got a decision to make. And what I'm trying to say, I'm not putting anyone down or disregarding for the sake of it, but left, our front three, the guys who play on the outside of the front three have to be protectors when we don't have the ball. They have to, because you know what happens at Arsenal. We have a sort of one of Arsenal's, the 11th commandment in the Bible, which Arsenal just kind of created since Arteta went to the club. The 11th commandment is, thou shalt not overload. Thou shalt not hit us on a counter-attack. Now, reason why he doesn't want overloads is because he wants his front three, his inside forwards, his inverted wingers, to be protectors when we don't have the ball.
That's why, again, Kenny, that's why I think Martinelli starts against Liverpool. For that very reason. People can say what they want about Martinelli, and you are in a very dark space when you talk about a winger, inside forward, whatever, and what he does defensively. But there is an element of that. I wanted to ask you as well. Obviously, we'll get into Saka and Havertz's injuries and what it means. But at this moment in time, there is no Kai Havertz. There is no Bukayo Saka. We don't.
You know what?
I think Odegaard will be there, but it's touch and go.
Talk to Kai Havertz. Well, grasp what you think of him.
I'm gutted. We need him for Anfield.
It's a big loss. The reason why it's a big loss is because you know you've got the gun striker, the striker that most of the fans wanted. But one thing about Kai Havertz is that there's going to be a game where, like it or not, where you're going to think, every Arsenal fan's going to think that. Some will admit it, some won't. You think, you know what? Yeah, we could have done with Kai there.
That's what I mean. When it's them ugly kind of matches, there's a role for Kai. I actually think there's a role for Jesus.
And you know what it is? You don't. There's something about Kai that is effective when it all comes off. We tend to remember Man United at home, the FA Cup. We remember the sort of chances, the silly chances, and then we see the goal he scored in pre-season. We think, yeah, that's what Kai can give you.
Or even Brighton at home last year. I couldn't believe he chipped the keeper.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Kai still is going to give us a lot of options. You can't rule out, if Kai was fit, you can't necessarily rule out him not starting matches because of the fact.
He's another one you could throw into the Odegaard debate, whether we like it or not. Him, Wanyeri, Eze, the gaffer's got a decision.
Yeah, so he's got a lot of decisions to make. At the moment, certain players who come into this squad, especially new players, are going to pick themselves. But when everyone's fit, there's going to be some decisions the managers have to say. As I say, in sort of my and over estate sort of terms, or like the sort of things we say in Moray and the Duke of Edinburgh in Fountain Road and Murray Road, show us your nuts, put your nuts on the table, because he's going to have to do that when it comes to that sort of vision. Because you're right. Sometimes it's not a gift for the manager to have tactical headaches, because some managers need to know who they're going to play, and boom, boom, he does this and he does that. However, if Arsenal want to win the league, we have to be able to play not one style of play. We have to be able to be adaptable. You know what I mean? And I don't mean
depending on the opposition and put the best
I don't mean
personnel,
from a
provided
defensive
everyone's
point
fit
of
to
view.
do this.
Yeah, because you look at Arsenal, the way we're built, of course, we're going to be adaptable. If it's a call for Arsenal to put men behind the ball and try and nick a point or nick a win, we're probably the best at doing that.
But we've shown we can do that. We did that in the first game of the season.
Yeah, from an attacking point of view, that's where we need to see some sort of variety.
Exactly. So then, Kenny, like, obviously jumping ahead to Liverpool, who starts? Like, your ideal? What's your ideal front three, and then what do you think the gaff will go with?
Well, that's the thing. You have to be realistic and talk about injured players. So obviously, you go for the back four, because we want to do this all, like I said, chronologically, or like I said, numerically. Goalkeeper Raya, towards the end of the day, makes important saves when he's required. Can't knock him. He's quietly become one of the best goalkeepers in the league. Quietly.
No, I don't care about Ramsdale anymore.
Yeah, well, I could have told him that 2 years ago, but they weren't listening, and I respect that. But you Arsenal fans know that there's a kind of night and day kind of attributes when it comes to both goalkeepers. There's no way
above him. Admittedly, I couldn't. I understood the Raya one, but I thought there was a bit neck and neck as time's gone on. Raya's clear. Like, Raya's several brackets above him. Man.
And the thing, it's not because Ramsdale spent quite a bit of time on the bench. It's because Ramsdale, even into Ramsdale's best and Raya's best, it's like
light and day, man. Light
and day. But yeah, right back, Timber's done nothing wrong. And obviously, I think Benjamin White's, I don't know if he's
struggling with something, man.
He's struggling with injury, so that we could say anyway. But Timber, he's got an opportunity to be one of the best right backs in Europe if he wants to be.
He's that already, man.
He's close, but I think what's happened is that
definitely one of the best in the league.
Sometimes when we attack, we think, if Ben White was
why do you guys keep saying this?
No, but you can't blame him for saying that. Though. I don't say it, but the fact is,
but what does White do better than Timber in the final third?
Yeah, but what?
Because he overlaps. I'm not even knocking Ben White. Love him to bits, but I just find it a bit grand.
I hate you saying, but what the fans like, they like the fact that they love the overlap. They love the fact that
when it takes a man with him, but what now?
It takes a man with him. Don't get me wrong, Timber could do that, but but when we were at our best, especially in 2023, 24, towards the end of that season, and most of the 22-23 season, that's when what Benjamin White was giving us, Timber gives us something different. But that's what Calafiori's going to play at left back. He hasn't done anything.
So. Would you go with Calafiori or Miles Lewis-Skelly though? Because some are saying Miles Lewis-Skelly's a bit more focused against the Salah. Calafiori ain't put a foot wrong. Yeah,
I hear what you're saying. But you have to go. The problem with Miles Lewis-Skelly is that we'll be targeting Liverpool because we conceded 4 goals in 2 games. We'll be targeting Kanate to a certain extent. Well, if Miles Lewis-Skelly plays, Liverpool will just target him on 2 points. One, when he tries to get in half turn, he has been robbed a few times. He has created mistakes. And 2, discipline. When he loses his player, he will give. He is. Especially in this sort of like pressure cooker at Anfield, where Liverpool don't want to lose to us, because psychologically, if we beat them, psychologically they're going to think
ending the curse.
We've ended the curse. And they probably think, you know what, they're the new favourites, so they'll be targeting him from that point of view as a way of looking at him as a weakness. Now he's he's going to be a fantastic player, but Calafiori on form. On sort of not so much form, but
basically because that could apply to Calafiori as well. To be fair,
yeah. So you look at the midfield. Would Odegaard play?
If Odegaard's, that's what I said at the start. If Odegaard's fit, we both know Odegaard is playing.
Yeah, but the thing is, right, if Odegaard's 100% fit, he plays.
Yeah, Odegaard, Rice,
Well,
Zubimendi.
Mendy, then you look at the right-hand side, that's going to
Madueke.
be you've got to play Madueke there. Left-hand side,
I think he goes Martinelli.
you see, that's the thing. It depends on the situation.
I do want Eze to start though.
Martinelli, if Martinelli could start, Eze could start, and Trossard could start. Because remember, Trossard was one of the was like came before that. However,
I don't see Trossard starting though. I must
the
admit.
problem with Martinelli is he will give Sloboslai something to think about because of his pace. But Sloboslai's we're matching for pace. When it comes to sort of getting him behind Liverpool's back four,
they are going to give us chances, but we need to take them.
Another thing as well, Martinelli as well. Kanate loves a piece of him. If you look at the games we played against,
he loves playing.
Kanate's went. See that
crashed into a minute, just everything.
Kanate says you're in this pocket, and I'm not, and he sipped him up.
But that's why I get annoyed at Martinelli, because you can see what Kanate is a good player, obviously, but you can see what he's going to do. That's why, if it was up to me, I'm just getting Eze in, because a part of me wants to try something. You know, if Odegaard's playing, then at least for this game, I'll risk it with Eze and Calafiori, because we haven't seen that before. Slot ain't seen that before. If I have to make an educated guess, I think he is going to go with Martinelli because they're down there. I only see Eze starting if Odegaard's not.
Yeah, but you know what? Arteta's proved us wrong, isn't he? Before.
The club have proved us wrong this summer where incomings are concerned.
I think Arteta will start Eze. You may think that from a tactical point of view. I think you may think from a tactical point of view that he'll go for Martinelli because of the fact that he can do that and it's against Liverpool. But I didn't think that Gyökeres was fully fit against Old Trafford for the Old Trafford game. But he played him. He didn't exactly do much, but he got another minutes
in the legs.
And I think that he may look at the Liverpool game and think, right, I'm going to get Eze in because the only way he's going to learn how we play is to get him in that cauldron. We've spent £60-something million on him. Yeah, he's probably not a left winger. He's probably not a left winger, but you know what? I'll get him in, and then I'll give him about 60 or 70 minutes, and I'll say, right, Madueke, you come on. No, not Madueke. I'll probably say, yeah, Trossard and Martinelli, you come on. So it's one of those things where I think he will play Eze. I really do see him playing Eze because Mick Arteta was one of those players.
Strike some fear into the Liverpool players. Not that they're scared of Eze or Arsenal, but naturally, if you're playing a great attacker, you're thinking, "Oh, what about potentially?" I don't really believe this, but Odegaard's one thing. But if he's somewhat fit, he's going to start. What about maybe, for argument's sake, Kenny, dropping out Rice or Zubimendi, and you get Eze in that way, and he can still do his thing with Martinelli or whatever.
The thing is, right, is that
dangerous.
It depends on the situation. If Liverpool are playing McAllister, Gravenberch, and Soberside comes in that midfield,
yeah, we need Rice
and on the right hand side. You're going to need Rice because McAllister on the ball, the physicality of Gravenberch, and the pace of Sloboslai. So you're going to need, because the other day, you're going to need to protect Zubimendi. Because Zubimendi's got to be that
guy. It's going to be a culture shock for him, man. He can cope with it, but yeah.
Yeah, Zubimendi's going to be the brain of our side, you know what I mean? In order to keep it ticking over, quieten down the Anfield crowd, and get us to the front foot when needs be. Come and take the ball from us, like the defenders. He's going to need a bit of protection in order to, be able to play his way. So you've got to play Declan Rice. If he's injured, of course you don't play him, but you've got to play Declan Rice. So you can't really experiment there. The question is, if Odegaard's not fit, then obviously you could play Madueke. So not Madueke, sorry, get it wrong. Sorry, apologise. You may play it.
Players can't keep up now.
You may play it. Well, both of them are Ebo. So both of them are Ebo. One's from Anambra State, and the other one's from Imo State, judging by their names. So yeah, and both of them have got distinctive hairstyles. I'm doing it again. We all look the same sort of crap. But anyway, if Odegaard's injured and he's not fit, do you play another Ebo guy, Wanyeri, in that big game at Anfield, Do you play Eze, make his debut there? Because myself thinks he's a number 10. Big questions, isn't it?
Eze,
What do you
man.
do? What
Eze.
do you do?
Rice, Zubimendi, Eze.
Yeah,
Sorted. You got your
that's it.
Madueke on the right. You go with your Martinelli. You do what you need to do beyond that. Gyökeres is up front.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
it's no slight on Wanyeri. If Wanyeri starts, he's got my full support. But
yeah,
as much as I want to give the young players an opportunity and all of those things, it is a 6-pointer. Obviously, if we win, we might be more bullish about the league. It doesn't mean we're going to win it. Obviously, if we lose, people are going to be a bit down and thought that's where we lose. It doesn't mean we're necessarily not going to win the league. But I think these games you want to lean on those kind of as we all know, he's got history of Arsenal. The man's chomping at the bit. He's experienced. He does well against them.
you
Just
left
start
that
that.
one thing. You left that one thing.
What?
Eze's won and has scored a winner against
Eze
Liverpool.
scored a winner at Anfield, of course,
In
yeah.
April 24. So
And you always speak about magic and Stardust.
Mind you, look what happened. They beat Liverpool at Anfield. Look what happened when we played Villa a few hours later. Villa beat us. You like that one, don't you?
Yeah, man, it's tough.
Exactly what happens. That's exactly what happens. Then Man City went and cleaned up, but it's an interesting problem we have to have. But the arguments we had on
We're gonna need Marino on that bench as well.
Yeah, arguments we had yesterday on the Arsenal roundabout is like a majority of fans on the panel wanted think that Eze is going to be nailed on playing on the left. They don't think he's going to be restricted. They think that he's going to be able to sort of like play into the sort of number 10 position from.
I believe a bit of both sides. I believe half and half.
Some of them, I think, were saying, "Well, we can't drop Odegaard because the manager won't drop him." But it's one of the things where I don't know. The player knows best, and I suppose the manager's got to make a decision. But I don't know. There's going to be a situation where if Odegaard's off form or he's struggling with injury, a decision has to be
dropped.
Yeah, but that's the thing. A decision has to be made. But I say, and the ruthless side of me states, if you want to move the wheel tactically, there's nothing wrong with looking at an alternative to Odegaard in Eze.
It's a different tool, so maybe you get different results.
Let's not forget, and we're talking facts here. What we tried in the last 3 or 4 years hasn't worked. We haven't been able to get over the line. The personnel, as well as they've played intermittently over the few years,
we've been so close yet so far.
We've fallen short. We weren't really in a tight race last season, but in 23 and 24, we fell short of the City because they had more match winners than us. Erling Haaland, who basically more than repaid the money they spent on him,
and a much deeper squad.
Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Now a lot of people think that Man City are in transition. That the Tottenham result wasn't a freak result. It just brought Man City back down to earth.
Spurs have had their number, unfortunately.
Yeah, definitely. But in all intents and purposes, if you want to sort of like challenge for the league and run away with it, you might as well, like I said, have the kind of tools at Man City's disposal. Like I saw the game against Spurs, and I won't lie, DG. If you take away the first 25 minutes, Spurs were comfortable.
Spurs were comfy. That's why I don't quite think it's a mad masterclass in that. And that's as much as I want to slag off Spurs, it is testament to them and damning on City. One thing I'll give Spurs, because it happened with Lewis Skelly, even though he made a mistake, and it happened with, I think Trafford made the mistake and it ultimately went in. The way Spurs pressed, Thomas Frank's got that in there early. They're going to be better tactically.
Have you noticed that the best player on the field was their striker and he didn't even score? But he created the pressure.
There's a reason Richarlison's their first striker now and he's playing out of his skin.
Yeah. You think about it, the goalie, both the goals were down to him, down to the pressure he created. Can't knock it, can you?
We saw that with Gabriel Jesus when he was, his stock was obviously higher and was in a different kind of realm, man. That's what you've got to do in today's image.
Well, Igal, he still feels that there's a space for Jesus in the team. And that's not knocking him. He thinks
for a year, I think there is, if he doesn't get sold now.
I don't know, man. 2 long-term injuries on his knees. Are you
going to Because think about it, Kenny. Obviously,
Mm,
if everybody's fit, let's exclude specifically Reece Nelson,
mm,
Lokonga, Fabio Vieira, those kind of ones, and like let's just put Zinni's probably gone, but the Jesus's, the Zinni's,
mm,
Kai Havertz if fit. These men are going to be utilized. Like, I know what you're saying. You're not wrong, and that's why he
mm,
needs to go above everything. He's on big wages. Don't know if you're fit. Two massive injuries. But if we're playing in them, like if he's not getting that move in the summer or in January,
mm,
because let's have it right. No one ain't buy. I hope I'm wrong. No one ain't
mm,
buying it with these injuries. In January, people probably want to see his fitness. If we're in the latter stages of the Champions League or the must-win games, Jesus is on that bench. Because think about it, it was a year or so
mm,
ago. We was rating Jesus for what he did against Bayern with all the question marks. I
mm.
do think for a year, and I actually extend that to Martinelli and Trossard. Don't get it twisted. Trossard, Gabriel Jesus. What's the other one I'm forgetting? My boy Martinelli. These men can leave because they're not doing what needs to be done. But I
Well,
think we could be cute and clever with them.
that's the thing. You know, the squad has to move on. Even look, if you look at the great teams in in Europe and even in the Premiership or the Football League as it was
They
before,
evolve, man.
it was always a case of two in, two out. You know, you have to you have to do something different. In
Jesus
order to
left
stay at
wing
the
will be
top,
there.
you have to you have to make your squad stronger. Even though these guys have been great servants to you, there's you look at them and say, look, teams are working us out. We've got to do things different. What was the common
Exactly.
denominator last year? Teams worked us out last year. Some teams weren't good enough to punish us, but there were teams who were good enough to punish us. And for us, punishing us was taking points of us, getting a draw, and
Exactly.
that was catastrophic for our title challenge, which never materialised.
Exactly. And that's where I'm agreeing with it. But I just feel there's a role where I wouldn't agree there's a role because as I was saying earlier, like obviously when you hear conversations
Mm,
around depth, it's oh my god, who's gonna play? And there's pressure for places and all of those kind of things. Who makes the bench? The other side of the depth is what we need to be mindful of, like where we don't have any players, everything's going wrong. How much of a shock can we absorb? That's why we've got the numbers. We've kind of
mm,
got the numbers. But then I look at it, yeah. If Jesus ain't cutting, obviously, if he's not on the bench, no one ain't paying his wages. So it is what it is. I just don't know if Arteta doesn't believe in Jesus that much and what him being in the squad but not on the bench, that's 200 odd grand. Zini, that's 200 odd grand. Trossard, that's 100 odd. One of my hot takes and what I'm scared about is, and of course, if we're playing a team that's going to sit back, we might have more attackers on the bench. There might be more defenders on the
mm.
bench in a certain game or like more of a balance kind of thing. I just feel if you put a gun to Mikel Arteta's head and we're in the semi-finals with everybody fit kind of now, Jesus is making that bench. My hot take is maybe Miles Lewis Skelly and Wanyeri, they might be the easiest ones to kind of leave out because they're kind of young and all of those things. And that's before we even factor in Norgard and the rest of them.
I don't know. You never know with this manager, but one thing is that I think this manager, last year you see he went on form, didn't he? You
Yeah,
know, when we
yeah.
got to semi-finals, when we got to quarterfinals against Real Madrid and the semi-finals against PSG off the Champions League, Calafiori wasn't exactly. I think he was fit for one of those games. He went with the guy in form. So it depends if they nailed on the place, if they're in form, and they're giving the manager what they want, they'll play. You know what I mean?
They need to give
They'll
the
play.
manager a headache. Every player needs to give this manager a positive headache. This
Well,
is what we do.
well, they're going to get opportunities because, as we said, there's injuries.
Take them.
You take him. That's what we're going to have to take him. You know, and what's happened is that the guys have been signed for big money. You're at a situation now where, in Eze's situation now, is that you're at a big club now. We think you'll thrive and you'll make us a lot better, but you have
We
to
kind of want
understand
a many now.
he needs to forget, realise that he's now one of a litany of good players, and that the standards are going to be, the expectations are going to be a lot higher. Like Palace,
You
you
could walk
think
a
about
water
what
at
he did
Palace,
at Palace.
respectively.
Palace weren't expected to win the FA Cup. They won it. Palace would have been happy with top 10 if they're lucky. But Arsenal, the performances we saw at Crystal Palace in terms of those games of the FA Cup and certain games in the league. Obviously, there will be situations where he played for Palace where he didn't do anything. At Arsenal, we're expecting him to do everything every game. That's where he needs to adapt, and that's where he needs to make some big decisions. So I've seen a lot of players sign for big money, and some of them haven't really hit the right ground running, and sometimes they just fade away. Like for instance, Freud Wirtz. Now you've seen his first 2 games. Tell me, what have you been impressed with him?
No. But to be fair, it's his first 2 games,
I
man.
know it's first. I'm not slagging him off because I think he's going to be
Nah,
great.
man, you can't be. You can't be. If anyone is that, Hugo Katike has been a revelation for them.
Yeah, but
ain't been good enough.
But big game at Anfield, he's going to have to show Slot against us why he was spent that money, because that's what he's been bought for.
And a bit like Crystal Palace, it's different, obviously, at Arsenal, but we're looking at you and we kind of believe in you as a talismanic figure, kind of, Eze. Like, apart from Bukayo Saka and Gyökeres, and some the jury might be out on Gyökeres, you're probably the one that we're going to rate the most and want to score the most, because, again, me and you have kind of been alluding to it. We all know they're good players and they're not bad and all those things, but no one don't rate Trossard, Martinelli, Jesus. No one don't rate them like that. We just think you're kind of spare tools that could be used across this long season. Eze, we're looking at you as kind of the star man. I'm looking at Eze the same way I'm looking at Gyökeres and Saka. In fact, Saka, I'd actually say Saka, Rice, and the centre halves are the ones I'm like, I look at you lot the most. Well, like, yo, we need to win. You lot got to be serious today.
And so you should, because simple reason is that all the players you mentioned the fact we haven't got a striker, we don't score enough goals from that position, and the other criticism is lack of creativity. You know what I mean?
And that's where Eze comes into the fold, man. So, sorry, Travis, appreciate you. I've just realized the super chat. Thank you very much for your super chat, my guy.
I'll call you back on the podcast. I'll call you back.
It's his girlfriend. Travis has said, "Sup, GG, just tuning in. I'm so happy with the signings, but we need a Leao character to bust up that left wing with the players we have in that position are now below par. Big up, DG, like and subscribe." Travis, appreciate you. Where you at with that, Kenny? Like, obviously, we'll get into Hincapie and we've indirectly spoke about another defender. Can you see another attacker coming in, or we being a bit too unrealistic and greedy now?
You know what? You know what? You can never know. Arsenal have just gone 360. A lot of the things Arsenal, are doing at the moment, I've never seen Arsenal do it for years. But we've broken the mold in so many cases. The last time I saw spending like this was in the 2011-2012 season, where we got pumped by Man United,
and then we just started buying bare players.
We lost at home at Liverpool. When
what was that, like
Mertesacker? And then we just went on a sort of mad one and started signing players on deadline day. I've never seen that kind of activity like that for a long, long while. But this season, it's kind of broken the mode. I thought we'd get Sesko, we got Gyökeres. I didn't think we'd get Eze. We got Eze. Facts. And then I said on a podcast with yourself and DJB, we need 6 or 7 players in.
And you got it.
And in the back of my mind, I thought we were only going to get 3 or 4, but we got these 6 or 7 players. So you just don't know. You really don't know with Arsenal. You don't know whether we're going to sell Martinelli, whether we're going to sell Trossard, and you don't know whether
Jesus could still go even though he's not fit. You just never know.
So I'm at this stage, I'm not ruling out Rodrigo now, because this guy's kind of what the guy's done. He's actually like turned the wheel and basically driven the coach not to this destination that we're used to going. He's basically said, no, right, we're going to go. Instead of us going to Marseille, he's saying, no, we're going to Cannes, more glamorous and everything. And that's what he's done.
In Berta, we trust, man.
I don't know whether there was a summit last season where we think, right, we've got to draw a line under it. Enough's enough. We need to win this year, and this is what we've got to do to win. What we've done before isn't working. This player isn't good enough to take us to that level. We've got to go big, big, big. Yes, you want Sesko, but I think, hang on here, we need to win now.
We need right now, man. Got 2 27-year-old charismatic figures and a 26-year-old.
Yes, they had a great cup final. Let's go for him. And that's what I've seen with these guys. There seems to be like a determination in terms of judging by the money we spent, that, you know what? It's now, this season here. It's not long term. A lot of Eze, how old are you? 27?
Eze is 27. Gyökeres is 27. Zubamendi is 26. They're right now.
It's not gone for young players for the future. It's gone for right now.
And the other ones, to be fair, Hincapie's significantly experienced for a 23-year-old, been involved in a lot of high-pressure things for club and country.
You talking about Madueke?
Yeah, Madueke, you could extend. You could say Madueke. I was saying Hincapie, but that could be Madueke. To be fair, we mentioned age. Norgard, 31 odd. Everybody's bringing something to the table. So then, before I ask you again on Rodrigo, yeah, like I know you always say, oh, you can't judge it until the end, or you can't judge it until like a hindsight kind of thing. In terms of incomings, though, Kelly, like out of 10, surely this is 10 out of 10 by our own standards.
I think
Surely it's a 10 out of 10 incoming summer.
In terms of what we've done, I think us fans could think, right, you know what? You
Because
get
I'm just saying,
excitement.
fair enough. You lot done what I asked you to do. Fair enough.
In terms of what we've done, you can, of course, you're gonna think, you know what? You want to be the ideal thing for an Arsenal fan is not being able to pick your first 11 because you've got so many options. So if you want to sort of like go by that matrix, then you would give the window a high mark. But I still think, like I said, the caution in me, because I've been let down before by not just under Arteta, but loads of times, few times where we thought
We've been
back.
burnt over the years, Penny, man.
We still got to look at the end of the season because there's going to be so many tests. All we're talking about when you talk about rating transfer windows is that if you want to say rate a transfer, say, why don't we just rate a transfer window and how we think Berta's performed, rather than say, well, what would you give the transfer window out of 10? How about saying,
but 8 out of 10, you're going to get the other two
Berta out of 10 for what he's done for the club?
8 out of 10.
8 out of 10, shower with that. And then it's up to the
players. In March. And we got new contracts for Miles, Lewis Skelly, Wanyeri, Gabriel Magalhaes. Obviously, they're starting to do there. Clearly, we need to resell some people.
You know what it is? The reason why I think there's a lot of excitement in because I know it sounds really harsh. You probably think it's justified, but it kind of like puts Edu in the spotlight.
100%. You look incompetent, Edu. You might not been able to blame you for everything, but let's have it right, Kenny. And I'm being very harsh, and I don't know, but let's have it right, Kenny. If we had Edu, I forget all the other names apart from Gyökeres. I genuinely believe Gyökeres would still be waiting to see what's going on in Portugal. Madueke would be in, to be fair. Norgard would be in. Zubimendi, I don't know. I don't think we're talking about Hincapie. I genuinely think they end up at Spurs.
SLD says we need to get Julian Draxler, and it'll be a 9 out of 10. Bloody hell!
Eddie weren't levels. At least we've got someone that kind of meets this halfway. Because this is what I said. This is what I said when we got Edu and Arteta and they started it. I said I don't necessarily mind a novice manager and experienced sporting director, and the opposite of that. I felt it was quite unique having someone who's new as a sporting director and someone that's new as a manager. It's not making sense. Berta kind of meets it halfway thing. Your experience speaks for itself. You're just your competencies and your ability to pivot. We wanted Jarrell out. That's not happening. This Hincapie brother looks like it's happening. Eze, it looks like we played a blinder against Spurs. It looks like Hincapie wants to sign Mascara for 13 million, even if that goes left. If we can't make that back and more, there's something wrong. Madueke looks a bit better now with Eze. All right, Arteta, you can do your experience. Norgard's not going to be here that long. Zubimendi finally over the line. I'm not necessarily going to give Berta credit for Kepa, but you did your thing. 5 minutes.
You're right. You're absolutely right, because it just shows you, right, that just in one summer, he's only been here a few months. It makes you think, bloody hell, what the hell was Edu doing? Exactly. How much influence did Edu actually have over, Kroenke, and how much influence did he have over Arteta? Because you think about it, he got Declan Rice in, he's got Havertz and everything, but this guy's just kind of thought he's basically got us a new squad. He's got
and dealt with the contracts, because we're used to obviously Saka and Saliba, but we've seen years with our young players like Wanyeri and Miles Lewis Skelly previously. Like, oh my god, are they going to stay or not? He's just handling business.
From what you've seen with this guy, I don't know, mate. It's one of those things. I don't know. Mind you, at the end of the day, it's our money anyway. It's club money. But for him to get these deals done, he deserves a lot of credit. No doubt about it, because it's no coincidence since he's come to this club. A lot of the opposition fans are thinking, yeah, maybe it could be Arsenal's year. Some Arsenal fans thinking, we're not. Some Arsenal fans are saying, yeah, we're going to win the league. Some Arsenal fans thinking, you know what, this squad is in itself.
We need to be winning things. There's no excuses.
Not win the league this season, then we have to ask questions. What it's done, really and truly, is actually put Arteta under a lot of pressure But the good thing
Yeah.
about it is that that's how it should be at Arsenal.
Well, not
Arsenal,
even a pressure thing, Kenny. It's a thing where, bro, you've got all you need. We
yeah,
rate you. You've got all you need. If
well,
you don't
he,
make it happen, you can't blame no one
well,
else.
well, that's the
Not
thing.
that he does.
He has to be able to deliver this title now. He has to be able to deliver the silverware because he's got what he wants. He's got options now. Options he's never really had. You know, he's got sort of like a, how do I say it? He's got a plan B in case of injury suspension, so he's never had. Yeah, so really and truly, he needs to be able to make decisions, get the right teams against certain opposition, and he's got to be able to look if we get to the business end of the season and we're still in it, he's got to be able to see it through. Because right now, we've on paper, we've now got the quality to in these tight games to actually win these tight games. You know what I mean? You look at our last 6 games of this season. Obviously, it's Man City away, Newcastle at home, and after that, they're winnable games. But they're all pressure games, though.
The business end. Not
Let's
like
be
this
honest,
year when
right?
we're just limping over the line.
Yeah. Our last game of the season is Crystal Palace away. Crystal Palace, we don't know what shape Crystal Palace is going to be in. West Ham, come on, you and I know that by the time we play West Ham, Potter won't be the West Ham manager. They'll
He's
have got a
gone,
new
yeah. He's
manager
gone.
by then. He's got her. So
Unless
you
the
think about
miracle happens.
Bournemouth, you think about it. Bournemouth, that's a game. That's a real pressure game, but we have to win it. Newcastle, if they sign a striker, they might be going for Europe, but at home form, we got to make a
You're hoping a couple of these clubs are on the beach by then.
Yeah, West Ham's going to be like a tricky game, and then Burnley could be relegated by then. This is the. It's not. There's not many. There's not any 6-pointers in there. Probably Man City could be a 6-pointer, but all those games bring pressure because I could bet you your bottom dollar if Burnley is still comfortable in this league, they're gonna put camp on their goal line. That's where the pressure's going to be.
Like, let's just go to London, get a little point, maybe nick a
Fulham,
winner, keep it moving, and plan for next year.
Newcastle,
scary.
Newcastle, you don't know what the game's going to be, but it's those kind of pressure games where.
Which one's scary the most? Because I can think of 3.
What's that?
There's 3 that I'm very scared of, and I know I can't. We're talking in August about May of next year, but I can look at 3 that scare me.
Look, obviously, we don't win the Etihad. We haven't won the Etihad since 2015.
That's one for me.
That's one. Newcastle is tricky because of their tactics. That's 2. The third game, believe it or not, is that if West Ham. One thing about it is that West Ham are always been a problem for us at the Emirates because
they're on it versus us, man.
Yeah, but at their ground, when they let us play, we smash them. So that's not a worry for me. Bournemouth, I see what you mean. Because of what happened last year and the fact that they got a good coach, that could be a tricky one.
Fulham, we're underrating Fulham.
Fulham's a different one because Fulham have got one of those teams where they got a lot of good players, but they got a good game plan.
Yeah,
and sometimes we struggle with that game plan. So I see what you mean. Newcastle, Fulham, and Man City, but again, we're breaking the rule of one game at a time. But all I'm trying to say is that with the squad we got coming into the title running,
we should believe we've got the tools equipped to do this.
But you got to remember one thing: for us to be in that situation where we are talking about titles, we have to be immaculate up in that period.
And we have to be able to bounce back when we take L's immediately.
Yeah, we weren't immaculate last season. The season before that, we became immaculate towards the end, but because of the Villa result, that was it. Man City, we knew that Man City once they get their teeth into it, we knew without even
once they smelt blood,
without even being optimistic or pessimistic, we knew they're going to win every game because once they got that kind of eye of the tiger when it comes to the title, that's it. They were going to beat Spurs, no matter what. Whether some Arsenal fans were Spurs supporters during that day, they were going to win that game.
Shameless behaviour for those that did.
It was shame because it was a disgrace. I won't forgive these fans. But you know what the situation is that you knew that when they played West Ham, even though West Ham might score or go here or there, they're going to win. We knew they're going to beat Fulham because they're at a stage where they're ruthless. You know what I mean? They had that quality. Haaland was scoring goals. You kind of knew it was done when we lost against Villa, but at least we're in that package. Up until then, right now, is that we can't afford any slip-ups. But you and I know slip-ups are going to happen because it's football.
It's not going to be straightforward. I hope everybody that supports Arsenal, we hope we win every game. There's no challenge, but that's not
here now. No team is going to go invincible this season. Exactly. City have lost already. Liverpool won't go invincible, and neither will we.
Exactly.
But we can still in other areas of the game we can still be immaculate. What I mean by being immaculate is basically we have to get into a situation where 90 points plus.
What does the manager say? We've got to be looking at 90 to 100 points. And he said that 3 years ago, and he says it. If we're not eyeing that up, then it's a myth. Of course, you can win it with less, but that's the mentality. You can't. I don't know the maths, but you can't lose too many. And the saddest thing is, we haven't lost that many games. That it's them draws, which goes back to what Kenny was saying. There's solutions now.